You want to do a musical intro this time?
Yeah, sing for us.
No, you do it. What's the tune? Oh
Come a
God, we're gonna get. No,
chameleon.
no, it's so off. We won't get
Don't you
demonetized. So,
know I walk slow? Whoa.
all right, I'll actually be making an intro this time. It looks like. Jeez.
All right, hello everybody. We are back with another episode of Breviews, and today we are talking about Dune Prophecy Episode 2.
It's a good episode.
It's a really good
It's called
episode.
Two Wolves.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, two wolves.
Now you
And
know.
we'll get into probably why it's called that a little bit later on.
Yep.
So, we are going to first off do a little recap about the main events that have happened in tonight's episode. And then from there, we will talk about the things that we really enjoyed.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
How's it start?
Well, it starts with the funeral for the little shithead Pruitt, Richie's. Yeah. So in episode 1, we see Desmond essentially burn him alive with his new fake eyeball. And the two houses are now hosting a funeral for the little Duke dude. And tensions are very high because the Emperor is hiding the fact that he knows who committed the murder.
That's right. He knows that Desmond's the murderer because at
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of the episode, Desmond's like, "Yeah, I did that,
Yeah,
and did it because you wanted me to do that." Even though you didn't
correct.
explicitly ask me to burn a little kid alive, you still wanted him gone.
Yeah. Like
Um,
I knew what you were thinking.
yeah, and the Emperor does a good thing. He hears
Mm-hmm.
this and he's like, "Guards, arrest this dude!"
Yeah,
Like that's not good.
right. Yeah. So then after that happens, we come back to the sisterhood and we see Mother Superior talking to her sister Tula, and they are talking about Kasha's death. And she was also burned alive in episode at the very end of episode 1, which I thought was like really interesting that his Desmond's powers were able to reach that far.
That was weird. It's
That was very weird.
maybe some worm magic or something else at work.
Yes, right. So they are trying to figure out more about the prophecy that their founder, Raquella, spoke to Valia about.
Yeah, and the prophecy's not good. It's like a prophecy of like a tyrant
Hmm.
usurping them and destroying the Bene Gesserit. So
Correct.
that's what they think is going on.
Hmm. And when Mother Superior is talking to Tula, Mother Superior is very worried about what this burning of Kasha actually means. And so she requests that Lila, one of their acolytes, go into the agony so that she can speak to her great great grandmother, Raquella. And she is the only one who has that direct genetic tie to the founder of the sisterhood.
Yeah, so the agony lets you go back and like commune with the dead,
Mm-hmm.
like your maternal dead. It
Right.
looks like, and they brew up this potion, and
Mm-hmm.
it's everyone knows like, hey, this agony might kill you,
Correct. Yeah.
probably gonna kill you.
And part of their training as acolytes, and Lila said this when Tula first went to her, asking her to engage in the agony, is that it usually takes at least 8 years for them to get to the point in their training where they can navigate the agony and be able to come back as a reverend mother. But they are requiring Lila to do this much earlier in her acolyte training
Mhm.
because they need to have more information about how is this burning happening, how is this, like, what is this
Yeah,
transient power that's now threatening the sisterhood.
yeah, it's the only way to go ahead and talk with Raquel and be like, can you
Correct.
clarify this whole prophecy thing? What is
Yes.
it about? So Mother Superior goes to Secundus, the planet that the Emperor's on,
Hmm.
and she walks into a shit show because the Emperor and like the little Duke's dad are kind of at each other's throats,
Mm-hmm.
and the Duke is threatening them with a whole fleet of ships. And he could take over the planet if he wanted. But
Correct.
she calms things down and gets to go and talk with Desmond, who's
Mm-hmm.
in like hover jail. He's hovering
It's
around.
a cool kind of jail.
Yeah, he's just hovering around by some magic belt.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. And sure enough, the guy's not lying. He got eaten by
Mm-hmm.
a sandworm. He only wants to do what's in the Emperor's best interest,
Yep.
and he killed that kid
Yep.
and Kasha. He admitted to all of it,
Yes.
right?
Right in front of the emperor and his wife and Mother Superior.
And the Emperor and his wife didn't really care. They're like, "Oh no, you killed our trusted advisor, our friend, who they were all broken up about."
Right.
And they were just like,
Yep.
"Okay, but this guy's loyal to us, you say, and he
Correct.
can burn people."
Yep.
Well, they really like the sound of that.
And we're starting to see a little bit more of Natalia, who is the emperor's wife, come into play. And we'll talk more about that in just a moment. But she's definitely starting to have more influence over the emperor and his thought process about what is in their best interest, what will keep them safe, and what will also propel their desires forward, which again is to control the spice trade.
Yep. While there, the Mother Superior, she goes ahead and talks with one of her agents. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
Benny Gesserit who's undercover in a bar.
Yep.
And she's like, hey, great job organizing the theft of spice that launched a lot of this problem that we're dealing with here.
Mm-hmm.
So they organized that to keep control over the emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, great job. It's time to throw all of your agents under the bus. Go ahead and start with Kieran Atreides. He's in the palace right now.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see because we learn that the sisters really are infiltrating so many different parts of the Imperium, including not just the Imperium itself, but the rebels who are trying to fight against them. So they have the sisters have their hands in so many
Oh
different
yeah.
pots.
Yeah.
And it's cool to kind of see how a lot of that is playing out now. Then we get to one of the funniest parts of the show,
Yep.
and it pans out to this giant sex hut.
It's a bang tree.
It's a bang tree, so it looks like either a hollowed out tree or a fake tree, where Constantine the prince is meeting with the Duke Richez's daughter. And they are just going to Bangtown. They're doing drugs. They're having a
Yep.
great time. And you can immediately tell that her intention is to gain information from the prince. And that's exactly what she does. So
Yep.
she discovers through Constantine that the emperor is holding Desmond, who is the murderer of the Duke's son and her brother. So she uses her assets to gain information for her father.
So the next day, the Empress Natalia meets with Desmond in jail, and
Mm-hmm.
he says, "Hey, I'll burn people for you,"
Mm-hmm.
and she really likes the sound of that.
She does like the sound of it.
So she lets him out. The Emperor and the Duke are going at it because the
Mm-hmm.
Duke, is still pretty upset. He's threatening them with the ships,
Mm-hmm.
and Desmond walks in and starts crisping the Duke up,
Yeah.
just slowly burning the guy
Yeah.
until he
Submits.
begs for mercy,
Yep.
and he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
And the emperor's just like, look, we don't have to talk about this. Don't tell anybody what happened,
Yep.
and it's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So he's very much convinced, the emperor and the empress, that he can play a solid role. And
Yep.
he definitely does. So he proves his worth to them. And then jumping back to Mother Superior, she comes back after speaking with her spy in the inner city, with the rebels. And when she comes back to the capital, she runs into Desmond, and he essentially tells her, you have been excommunicated. You are no longer of worth, and you are no longer allowed here.
So she does the voice,
She does the voice.
and she tries. I guess she has one voice trick, and that is to make you stop, hold a knife to your throat, and stab yourself in the throat. So far, that is the only thing she's done with it,
Yeah,
and
we
she's
haven't
done it.
seen anything else.
She's done it on a few occasions.
Yep.
Um, But she tried that on him, and he came real close.
Yeah.
He came real close, but he didn't do it. He pulled back.
Yep.
And she was scared.
Terrified. And he even makes a statement of, I thought I knew what your fear would be, but what it actually is that people will hear you speak, but they just won't care. And so you can see Mother Superior, like her eyes are just that oh shit
Oh yeah,
moment.
she's full of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, she lost.
Yep.
She lost real bad.
She did. She did. And happening in the background, Lila goes through the agony to gain more information, and she meets with Raquella, her great great grandmother. And in that meeting, she speaks through Lila and basically says that the ending of the sisterhood, the person who is responsible, will be made, born twice, once in blood and once in spice. And that is referring to Desmond.
Mm-hmm.
And then after she speaks to Raquella, she meets with her grandmother, Raquella's daughter,
who got the neck stab in the first episode.
Who got the neck stab by Valia while she used her voice, because she was the zealot who was going against Raquella and Valia's plan and philosophy for the sisterhood.
And creepy ghost grandma was like, well, I'm gonna keep you here to ruin the space nun's plan.
Correct.
Just as a big old F you.
Right. And also I think to seek revenge on Tula.
Oh yeah, that was the FU.
Correct.
Yeah, she was not happy with Tula for the whole stabbing thing.
Correct. Yeah. And so that is kind of what we're left with for this episode. So there's a lot of questions, a lot of things that have been unveiled, and it's really exciting. So what kind of things did you love most about this episode?
Well, the bang tree is an awesome concept, and I think it's not utilized enough in literature, in fiction. It belongs in more places, right? This was a huge, think like giant redwood.
Yeah, huge redwood.
Hollowed out redwood. All there is like a bed couch thing in the middle.
Uh-huh.
There's no purpose to this thing other than banging. So it's a big bang tree.
It was a big bang tree. And it was useful. I mean, she definitely banged him and she got what she wanted, even though it wasn't her bang tree.
yeah. Just borrowed the bang tree and got right to it.
Yeah. That was a really interesting scene.
Yeah.
And what I really enjoyed is we got to also see, and we didn't speak too much about this in our recap, but we saw a little bit more of the acolytes and some of their personalities and differences coming to the surface. And I think that, as I mentioned in our episode 1 video, they're going to be playing a much larger role. I wouldn't be surprised if the Mother Reverends start kind of dying off and they have to escalate the acolytes training a little bit more.
Well, one of them is very old. She's like a crypt keeper.
Yep.
She's not going to be around for long.
Yeah.
One of the acolytes, I don't know if you caught this, but she convinced Leela to do the agony.
Yes.
And her whole backstory, she's just from a line of martyrs. Yep. So everyone in her family just keeps martyring themselves. Yes. And she's like, dying is the best thing you can do for everybody. It's the cool thing to do.
Right.
I don't know how that line keeps going.
I have no idea either. I think, I don't know.
Is there a rule you can't do it until you're 45? Or how is this?
Until you have at least one child to pass on the genes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Right.
One, okay, I can see one.
Yep.
But not
There was a scene where Lila was sitting in the bed with her, and I wasn't sure if she was going to go through it, and Tula was going to have to push her into it.
I don't think Tula would have pushed. Tula wouldn't have pushed.
Yeah, I don't think she would have either, because we don't want to jump ahead, but she, I think, has a history of having to make really hard decisions, and I don't think she wants to make them anymore.
Also, Lila's like her adopted daughter.
Correct.
They don't know their parents. It's similar like the Jedi.
Right.
You don't get to be raised by your parents, but they're pretty close.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought was a little bit corny, though, was a scene where Princess Inez meets with the sword master Kieran, and this is after the princess learns that Kasha has passed away. And so she's in the training room, just kind of using, techniques that Kasha taught her. The sword master walks in on her, and she's like, no, I don't want to talk. I just want to fight.
Yep.
I thought that was a little corny.
Yeah. I got a prediction.
Okay.
I think Desmond is like a robot person.
You think he's an AI?
I kind of thought that in the first episode.
Okay.
Because like some of his interaction with the robot lizard is a little bit off.
Yeah.
And I think there is something weird. I don't think it's original Desmond.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
it might be zombie.
Yeah.
It might be AI. It might be AI zombie.
Right.
I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, especially because he had one of his eyes replaced.
Like it seems to me he's microwaving people.
Yeah.
He microwaved the kid, right? Like I'm not
Bro, okay. That is a genius theory. That's
Yeah.
so good.
Now I don't know how he got to Kasha unless there was another AI or another robot involved.
Yeah.
But I do think something's really odd about Desmond. I don't think it's original Desmond.
I don't know if I have any other like predictions other than that Desmond's situation is going to be short.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're kind of right now interpreting that as like his life will be short. But I don't know. We'll have to see what that actually pans out.
It sounds right to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I don't think so. I'm excited for episode 3 though. We're gonna do a rewatch of that. We watched it one time. We're gonna rewatch that one and then do our video for you guys. But I'm excited. I'm really enjoying this series, and it's touching on all the things that I really love. We have beautiful scenery, lots of action, political intrigue, and a lot of backstabbiness and a little bit of romance sprinkled in there. All right, you want to do the sign off?
Bye.
Okay, that's better than my.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.